I'll find the stream, shall I? Here it is there. Up and running. Fantastic. Well, hello everyone and welcome to round 12 of the Pacific Tier 1 Championship here on Race Spec Esports. I'm Lane Everingham, your commentator for this event. And for this season finale, we'll be racing at Autódromo José Carlos Pace for the Brazilian Grand Prix. More commonly known as Interlagos, this iconic circuit was constructed all the way back in 1940 and with its current design created 50 years later in 1990. Both in real life and in the virtual world, the circuit is well known for generating superb racing quality, as well as developing some of the tightest qualifying sessions we'll see anywhere in the world of Formula One. It's not a particularly lengthy circuit at only 4.31 kilometers, but the 15 corners that make up its layout provide everything we need for fantastic racing. The circuit consists of two DRS zones that lead into the primary overtaking areas of Turn 1 and Turn 4. The tight right-hand hairpins of Turn 8 and Turn 10 not only provide a slow speed challenge, but also provide overtaking opportunities in the technical second sector. And of course, there's Junsao, Turn 12, arguably the circuit's most important corner, as it will determine how quick a driver can travel through the flat-out final turns and up towards the finish line, where we've seen incredible drag races for victory on the final lap in the past. To put it simply, folks, in my humble opinion, there is no better track to race at and no better way to finish a season than right here at Interlagos. So you could imagine my sheer disappointment when I only see 12 drivers racing tonight. Frankly, it's pitiful, especially considering the sheer attendance numbers we've had all season. This could have been a really great way to end off a season, a great way to sum up F1 23, everyone with positive vibes, but actually, no, that might not actually be the case. But you never know, 12 drivers, it's just enough, I reckon, that we might be able to have some interesting racing out there tonight. Now, before we touch on what will be happening out on track, there is some news to go through first from the previous race in Miami. It was an amazing race we got to watch last week, and that was complemented by the fact that no driver submitted any incident report post-race, which means the final finishing positions remain completely unchanged. In the Drivers' Championship, Crichton's gone and won it. He's on 301 points with Matt Plevy, who isn't here, in P2 on 154. Seb, a reserve driver, is also not here. He's P3 on 135. Seb Spicer, who is here, is 4th on 134. So if he managed to score at least 20 points, that's a P3 or higher, he will finish 2nd in the drivers' standings. Top 5 is rounded out by Grid Jokes in the Haas on 126 points. In the team's championship, it's Mercedes leading the way on 351, followed by Ferrari on 259. Ferrari Pro, their only representative here at Interlagos. Alpine are next on 189, followed by McLaren on 178, and Haas round out the top 5 on 140. But that's pretty much it in terms of news. We can now focus on this here qualifying session. We've got a few drivers making their way around at the moment. Mr. Zach Warren is about to begin a flying lap. We'll ride on board with him, take you with a tour of this Interlagos circuit. Into the Center S, turns 1 and 2. 3rd gear on the power, 4th gear through turn 2, and around Curva de Sol, turn 3. Onto the Retroposta with DRS open. We'll head towards turns 4 and 5 that form Descida do Lago. Down to 4th gear, back on the power, 5th gear, flat out through turn 5 as we head up the hill towards Ferradura. Turns 6 and 7, very tricky right-handers here. Into the hairpin of turn 8, definitely a potential overtaking spot through this right-hand hairpin. Around the small sweeper of turn 9 and up towards the hairpin of turn 10. Down through the gearbox to 2nd gear, back on the power. McLaren a bit in the way, he now gets out of the way as we go through turn turn 11 rather, into turn 12, that is Junsao. Up towards turns 13, then the kink of 14 as Duncan sets the benchmark with a 108.0. Zach Warren will make his way around the final corner and up towards the line. It's going to be an 8.7. Goes second fastest out of the time set. Apollo's put a lap down, but he's on the intermediate tyre. Just trying to set a benchmark. Ferrari Pro making his way through the technical middle sector. Eagle making his way out of the technical middle sector and into the flat-out final sector. Nice and easy on the power. Heading up the hill out to turn 12. Flat out the whole way round. DRS open and up towards the line. Eagle will set a 1 minute 7.966. He jumps to the top. Seb Spicer making his way around turn 9 right now and up towards the hairpin. Ferrari Pro will complete a lap. He jumps to the top with a 7.8. Seb Spicer towards turn 12. 6th gear up to 7th, then back down to 4th. On the power, using a bit of all of the curve rather, on the outside of turn 12. Through the flat out turns of 14 and 15. Up towards the line for the McLaren driver. He'll do a 7.8 as well, beating Ferrari Pro by 11 thousandths of a second. The recently crowned champ is about to begin his first flying lap of the session. Might ride on board. Everyone else is on in laps at the moment or in pit lane. We'll let Mr. Crichton take us on a tour. 8th gear, down to 4th, down to 3rd for turn 1. Down through the corkscrew, that is the centre S, then curve of the top. 5th gear, 6th gear, hugging the inside line as he opens DRS, down the Retroposta and towards Desida do Lago. 320 kilometers an hour indicated. Down to 5th gear, back on the power, getting sideways, but he manages to keep it on the racetrack. Up towards turns 6 and 7, down to 5th gear, and he backs out of the lap completely. So he's not happy with what happened through turns 4 and 5. He's electing to bail. He might go back into pit lane. Ferrari Pro jumping up to P3-2 with a 7.8. So the top 3 relatively close. Eagle's not terribly far behind with a 7.9. Leo on an out lap. He's at an 8.0 right now. But of course, with the track evolving, the times will tumble. I'll be curious to see what he can do. Apollo Pepsi is just behind him on an out lap as well. He'll be on soft compound tyres, I'm sure. Yep, he is. He'll be doing a proper push lap in about a minute's time. Oh, it is a real shame that we only have 12 drivers tonight. That's one of the best things about this season was the great attendance. I think maybe 17 was as low as I got, maybe 16, which is still fine, but 12 for Brazil is just, well, just frankly, a kick in the balls. I was really looking forward to this season finale, and then I saw the attendance and my heart sunk. Alright, Mr. Duncan, let's see what you can do. 8.0 his PB, 7.8 is the time he needs to try and set. Try and get provisional pole position down through the S section and around Curva de Sol. Up to 7th gear, onto the Retroposta with DRS open, 8th gear. Be braking hard, he's up by a 10th already in the first sector. There's a lot of time to find in only 3 corners. Be curious to see what he can do here in the middle sector. Down to 5th, up to 6th again. As we head into the turn 8 hairpin, Crichton has jumped to the top with a 7.5. So a new benchmark for everyone else to try and beat. So he didn't go back into pit lane. Instead, did another lap on the same set of tyres. And he's taken pole position by 2.5 tenths. Leo Duncan, crossing the middle sector split, is up by almost 4 tenths of a second. So he's going to be challenging that front row spot. Don't think he'd be challenging pole, but he's definitely there for P2 right now. Up towards the line for the reserve driver, and he takes P2 with a 1 minute 7.769. Eagle on a flyer, making his way around turn 3, hugging that inside line the whole way round. DRS open up towards Desida do Lago. 220 25 kilometers an hour indicated. Quite a bit quicker compared to his teammate Crichton, who was about 320. 6th gear. Modulating the throttle quite a bit there through 6 and 7. Not fully committing to 100% throttle. Just modulating around 90 to 95%. 3rd gear. Down the hill through turn 11. Very tricky left-handers. Caught out quite a number of drivers in the past. This Mercedes driver is up by 1/10 of a second. So he's setting PBs out there right now, but he's definitely not purple as the track map suggests. 1 corner remains for Eagle. It's going to be a 7.8. He jumps to P4. He's a mere 4 thousandths behind Seb Spicer and 7 thousandths in front of Ferrari Pro. Spicer getting ready. ACW as well. Nickman, he's just done a lap. Currently P7 with an 8.2. Grid Jokes up by 10th in the 1st sector. Zach Warren making his way through the middle. Bags Liddell making his way through the 1st sector. Through Desida Dulago, using all of the curb available to him. As he heads up the hill towards turn 6. Warren's up by 3.5 tenths to the middle sector. As he makes his way around turn 14. And then the final corner of turn 15. Warren will improve by 3/10 of a second, but he stays P10. Grid Jokes, meanwhile, is up by almost 4 tenths. Currently P9 with an 8.3. This will break him into the 7s. Needs to find a bit more time, though, ideally. Not quite. P7 with that lap. Can't quite get close to the top 5 just yet. He needs to find another 10th on top of what he's already found. Seb Spicer not doing too badly for the moment. He's up by almost 2/10 of a second. He heads up the hill and around the flat-out final sector. ACW's jumped up to P2 with a 7.6. See what Spicer can do when he crosses the line. It's going to be a 7.5. It's not enough for pole position, but it's enough to put him back on the front row. He's only just missed out. It's at a margin of 28 thousandths of a second. Roscoe, yet to put a time on the board, is about to put one down with just over 6 minutes left in qualifying. It's an 8.7, 3/10 off Warren. So he's comfortably in last place. Needs to put together a big lap right at the end of qualifying. Crichton, currently purple to the 1st sector, making his way through the middle sector now. 7th gear, down to 6, back on the power, reaches full throttle at around about the apex of turn 7, down to 3rd gear for the hairpin, now into the left-hand sweeper of turn 9, keeping it in 3rd, 4th gear, 5th gear, back down to 3rd around turn 10, and down the hill, through the left of turn 11, and up towards Junsao, turn 12, he's up by 600ths now, clips the apex, reaches full power, it goes immediately to the left-hand side of the circuit as he heads around turns 14 and 15. He will improve, but by how much? It's going to be a 7.512. He improves by 44 thousandths of a second. Duncan is down by a whole 10th to the 1st sector. Less than ideal, but he's still pushing. Making his way up the hill towards turn number 6. Up towards the hairpin now. Drops it down to 2nd gear. Up to 3rd. Nice rotation. Using all the curve on the outside. As he heads around the hairpin of turn 10. Down the hill. Through 11. Towards the 2nd split. Clock says he's still down overall to his PB. He might bail on this and go back into pit lane. Eagle getting ready for a run. Get out of the way of his teammate, who I'm sure is on an in lap. Though it does appear to be pushing. He's not using his battery though. Just pushing to get back into pit lane. Eagle currently P5 with a 7.8. In order for him to improve position, he needs to find 0.04 of a second to overtake Leo Duncan. Through turns 1 and 2 that form the center S. Reaches full power as he enters turn 3. DRS open. AlphaTauri coming out, that will be Apollo. He's currently P10. Eagle's up by 76 thousandths to the first sector, but he's sideways. Caught it well. Could have been disaster for Eagle. He could have ended up in the barrier. Managed to keep enough control there to save himself from retiring from the session. Now he's got an important decision to make. Does he stay out and do another lap on these tyres, or does he come back in? And he's only got just over 3 minutes left on the clock. It looks like he's going to recharge his batteries and go for another run. Apollo needs to be aware of that. He's going to make a conscious decision. Does he stay behind Eagle or does he try and pass? It looks like he's going to back off and stay behind. Alright. Eagle will have another crack here. Up the hill. Turn on the battery shortly. There it is. Onto the main straight. Flying lap attempt number 2 with just over 2.5 minutes left in the session. Through the center S. Then Curva de Sol. Hugging the inside line the whole way around. DRS open. Couple cars in front. They'll stay well out of the way. As Eagle's up by 19 thousandths to the first sector. Apollo Pepsi, meanwhile, will cross the same split. He's down by 1/100th of a second. Up towards the hairpin at turn 8. 6th gear. Back down to 3rd. On the power. Down through the sweeper. Modulating between 3rd and 4th. A little wiggle at the apex. Around the hairpin at turn 10. Then towards turn 11. Full power the whole way around, but there is traffic in front that stays out of the way. That's Ferrari Pro. Eagle's up by 65 thousandths of a second. Apollo, he's bailed on this lap it seems. He's made a mistake somewhere. Eagle up towards the line, will improve by a little bit. Improves by 29 thousandths, stays P5. ACW, he's not on a proper flying lap. He's on a preparation lap. Same story with GeForce Crichton, it would seem. Seb Spicer getting ready, Leo getting ready. Ferrari Pro on a flyer, up towards the first split. What does the clock say? He's up by 16 thousandths of a second. Around turn 5 and up towards turn 6. 7th gear. On the brakes, just for a little bit, down to 6th. Up towards the hairpin. On the brakes hard, down to 3rd. Back on the power and around the left-hand sweeper. That is turn 9. Looks tidy through the middle sector so far. Duncan beginning a lap, making his way out of turn 2 and around turn 3. DRS open. Down the Retro Aposta towards the first sector split. The clock says for Duncan he's down by 13 thousandths. Ferrari Pro is up by 64 thousandths. Around the final corner and up towards the line. It's going to be a 7.666 P4 for the Ferrari driver. ACW is down to the first split. Seb Spicer to the middle split is up by 600ths. GeForce Crichton will begin his final flying lap of the session. He's making his way through the center S, turns 1 and 2, up to 4th gear, 5th gear, 6th gear as he hugs the inside line the whole way around turn 3. DRS open. As Seb Spicer jumps to the top with a 7-4, 8th gear, back down to 4th gear, into the Cedar do Lago, 5th gear, 6th gear, clipping the apex there at turn 5, up the hill towards turn 6 and turn 7, down to 6th gear, back on the power, reaching full throttle at the apex of 7, then back down to 3rd, into the hairpin of turn 8, now the left-hand sweeper of 9, 3rd gear, reaching full power just before the outside curve, maybe a bit wiggly at the exit, and I think he might have bailed on the lap. He has properly bailed. Going to tour the grass, it would seem. Probably not too happy with himself with that slide out of the hairpin. And he's going to disqualify himself, so he'll be starting from the very back then. For this race here at Brazil, it'll be Seb Spicer, who will start from pole position, then ACW on the front row as well. Another pole for Seb, back-to-back, Miami, and now here at Interlagos. Qualifying form has been strong for Mr. Spicer. He'll be happy with that, ACW. He'd be happy to line up on the front row. I'm sure he'd be looking for the whole shot to try and take the lead into turn 1. So there we are, the end of this qualifying session here at Interlagos. Spicer will start from pole, ACW P2, Ferrari Pro P3, Duncan 4th, Bags Liddell rounds out the top 5. Then we have Eagle, Grid Jokes, Nickman, Warren, and Apollo Pepsi rounding out the top 10. Roscoe Arms starts from 11th, and Crichton starting from the back, electing to disqualify himself from the session. Starting from 12th, and he'll try and make a charge up through the field. Not a terrible qualifying session, especially when you consider we only have 12. Not bad at all. I mean, out of the time set, it's less than a second separating the field. In saying that, though, you kind of come to expect that with Interlagos. Qualifying is typically quite close here. Fairly clear skies for the start of this Grand Prix. So if we are going to get any wet weather interference, it won't be until later in the race. Be quite curious to see who starts on what tyre for the start of this event as well. Drivers will just be making small adjustments to their setup. They get themselves ready for the race start. Once we cut to the grid, we'll get underway. Tell you what, they're taking their sweet time. There we go. We have 5 red lights. And we're underway here at Sao Paulo. It's a nice start from the front row. It's a nice start from Duncan as well in the Williams. Ferrari Pro goes shooting around the outside of ACW at turn 1. He tries to fight down the inside of turn 2. They make contact and they slow each other down, letting Spicer off the hook. 3 wide action out of turn 3 as we head down the Retroposta. You can see Ferrari Pro trying to shut the door from anyone trying to dive up the inside. Crichton fighting up through the field, 3 wide further back as we head up towards turn 6. Crichton up to 5th position already on the soft compound tyre as he dives up the inside to try and take 4th. A little bit of contact, a little bit of hip and shoulder. Crichton moves in front, he's into 4th. So it's Spicer who leads from Ferrari Pro, ACW, Crichton, Duncan, Liddell, Eagle, Warren, Nickman and Apollo Pepsi rounds out the 10. Down the inside goes G-Force Crichton, making the move at Junsao, and following through is Duncan, ACW down to 5th. Towards the final corner we go. Eagle and Bags Liddell battling away as we head towards the center S for the second time. Eagle with the inside line. As we head down the hill. Everyone sorts themselves out. So a bit of drama at the start then between the leaders as Crichton goes for second. Down the inside here at turn 4. He gets the job done. Moves into P2. There's the position change graphic. Crichton up 10. ACW down 3. Bags down 2. Warren up 1. Grid Jokes down 4. Shocking start for the harsh driver. There's a telling story. The top 2 starting on the soft compound tyre. Crichton, of course, starting all the way back on the final row of the grid, as that was a huge slide from Eagle. Managed to keep the car relatively straight. Crichton using the pace of the soft tyre to get to the front of the field. Spicer, having qualified at the front of the field, has now created quite a gap between himself and everybody else. So those two are getting exactly what they need out of their tyres right now. I'd be curious though to see how the hard and medium runners played themselves into the race. Got a lot of hard runners. We got 2 medium runners, those being Duncan and Warren. Everyone else on the hards. And everyone's sorted themselves out. That's good. No major dramas in the first few laps then of this Brazilian Grand Prix. It was Ferrari Pro just having to deal with the lack of grip of these hard tyres. Oh. Crichton not having a lot of grip on those soft tyres, it would seem. He completely overshot the hairpin. Got it sideways too. Duncan sitting in 4th place. Too far behind right now to try and pass Ferrari Pro for 3rd. And it looks like he's continuing to lose time as Ferrari Pro catches up to Crichton. Look at him, right on the back of the Mercedes. Down through the Center S and around Curva do Sol. Onto the Retro Aposta. Ferrari Pro closing the gap. He won't go for a move though. He doesn't have the momentum nor the grip to try and go for a move just yet. Further back, Eagle, Liddell, they're minding their own business. Warren and Nickman. Closest battle we have on track right now. Nickman not quite close enough to do anything just yet. Go down through the sweeper of turn 9. Yep, everyone behaving themselves. No one's really quite close enough to go for moves just yet. Crichton, with his sights set on the race leader, has closed in a little bit. Gap was around 2 seconds, now hovering at 1.8. But as Seb's qualifying pace demonstrated, he's not going to lack pace on those soft tyres. Crichton will have his work cut out for him. Try and catch up. You can see there Spicer building up a small margin. Now Crichton cuts it down on the straightaway. Ferrari Pro doing a good job. Duncan's now cut down the gap. You can see it's now down to under 0.4 of a second. So we go around turn 8, down the hill and around turn 9. Now Duncan has to think smart. He's in the middle of a DRS train being led by Crichton. It's very difficult to pass when you're in the middle of it. Thankfully, one thing that is in his corner is a tyre compound advantage. He'll have more grip on those mediums. Be able to go for bigger lunges down the inside, but he needs to be fully committed. Because he's not going to have a speed advantage. As you can see, that Ferrari is speedy. In fact, it's going for second. Down the inside at the Center S, Ferrari Pro takes P2. Will Crichton strike back? He's 0.2 behind. DRS open on the Mercedes. He is too far back, does not have enough momentum. He'll stay in P3. Further back, Warren and Liddell close together. Nickman not too far behind either. You can see Warren has used up his battery. The flashing red light on the back of the car means he's below 10%. He's just reached 11% now in that braking zone, so he's very, very low on battery. Compared to the Liddell, 44. Nickman, 78%. Apollo hovering at around 60 right now. Grid jokes. Tumbled down the order early. 1.5 seconds back. There's Roscoe in P12, just hoping to survive more than anything else. 1.8 seconds margin between Spicer and Ferrari Pro as we begin lap 7 of 36 here at Interlagos. Crichton, he will not be anywhere near close enough to go for a move. In fact, he'll be under threat from Duncan in a little while. Those soft tyres probably don't feel great after 7 laps. See, Ferrari Pro is even closing in on the race leader. Into the hairpin of turn 8. ACW in 5th place. Shuffled out a little bit over at turn 3 on the first lap. Sure, he'd just be hopeful to be in this leading group more than anything else. Where you need to be if you want to try and win. Nickman, good run out of Jun Sao. He might have a run on his teammate. He's using up his battery. He senses an opportunity to try and pass. Closing in. He's got momentum. Will Bags yield? Or I think they might have both yield. They both started slowing down at about the same time. And Nickman definitely backed off. He backed off early. So Bags Liddell, he'll hold 8th place for now. Warren, 1.2 seconds back. Needs to get within that 1 second range. Eagle's in trouble too. P6. He's got no DRS from the cars in front. If Warren catches up, well, Eagle's going to start leading this DRS train further back. Might leave himself vulnerable from an attack from Zach Warren. Ferrari Pro. 1 second back from Spicer as we head through turns 14 and 15. Still no DRS for the Ferrari driver. Not that he needs it. See, even with DRS, Crichton can't do much. Try and catch up. That Ferrari is properly speedy on the straightaways. Onto the Retro Aposta. Ferrari Pro's got DRS now. Seb has been pretty uninterrupted out in front for the past 8 laps. He's now got company. And they're arriving at his gearbox at a rate of knots. Down through the sweeper of turn 9. 6/10 behind Ferrari Pro. Roscoe a 3-second time penalty. Multiple warnings. I don't think Ferrari Pro will be close enough to set up a move just yet. But he's going to get properly close to the back end of the McLaren. See how much time he gains. 6/10 is the margin. DRS open. Gap shrinks to 5/10. Down to 4/10. 3.5. 3. 2.5. 2/10. So there's 4/10 gained on the one straight. And there goes Warren round the outside. He cuts in front of the Mercedes. And takes P6. Bags Liddell. A 3-second time penalty now. Ferrari Pro looks but doesn't commit to a move. Not just yet. Bit of sideways action from Crichton. Oh, we got battling further back. Warren, Eagles, side by side, wheel to wheel, heading up towards turn 6. Round the outside goes the Aston Martin. Down the inside looks Eagle. Warren gives room. Side by side round turn 9. Up towards turn 10. These two racing quite respectfully. There's the two Red Bulls just closing in. So this train has now closed up. At the front of it is Eagle. Oh, and that's a huge slide from Warren. He caught it though. That was brilliant stuff to catch it. He's lost 2 positions in the process, but he's still in the fight as Ferrari Pro takes the lead entering turn 1. It's lap 11 now. We've still got a long way to go. The Ferrari Pro is in the hot seat. DRS open on the McLaren. The McLaren can't fight back. Too far behind is Seb Spicer. He'll stay in P2. Further back. Up the hill towards turn 6. You can see the leading train on the minimap. And then this midfield train. Being led by the Mercedes of Eagle. The 2 Red Bulls in hot pursuit. Warren on those medium tyres gave it his all. Went a bit too far, I'm afraid, at turn 12. Caught it brilliantly, so he's still in the fight. Now got a pair of Red Bulls ahead of him to try and get to the Mercedes that is leading the way. We'll see what Liddell can do. The gap sits 4.5 tenths as Spicer retakes the lead. So he moves back into first position. Eagle will maintain 6, so that's what you kind of expect with the DRS power down the main straight. It's about 3.5 tenths. Ferrari Pro fights back, retakes the lead. Back down to this. Eagle defends around the outside. Bags Liddell had a look, couldn't fully commit to a move. Mercedes man under pressure, standing it well. We head through the middle sector. Oh, a dive bomb down the inside. Warren had a real crack, couldn't quite pull it off though. Alright, to the leaders. Seb Spicer, 3.5 tenths behind. Plentiful amount of battery to try and use. Onto the main straight. Here comes the McLaren to the inside. Will the Mercedes try and follow suit? It's trying. Crichton looking around the outside of turn 2 has to give way. Eagle down 2 positions as both Red Bulls get by. So Nickman and Liddell into P6 and 7. Crichton having a look down the inside of both drivers, both Spicer and Ferrari Pro. He moves himself into P2. Ferrari Pro looking around the outside. Eagle and Liddell battling away as well. Big wiggle there from Crichton. Keeps the car straight, and down the inside goes ACW. Duncan leaves him enough room. Drops down to P5. Nickman at the front of this train now. His teammate Liddell right behind. Eagle shuffled down to P8, but he's still very, very much in this battle. Oh, sideways was Liddell there. Getting just a little bit sideways at turn 11. Crichton might go for the lead here. He's not using DRS though. And here comes Ferrari Pro. Down the inside of both of them. Can't quite pull it off. Crichton can outbrake both Ferrari Pro and Spicer as Duncan pits in. At the beginning of lap 14, Crichton leads. Ferrari Pro second. Ferrari Pro to the outside. Can he outbrake the champ? Not quite. They're side by side at corner exit. Up the hill towards turn 6. The Ferrari has the dominant position, that inside line. Crichton's trying. He's looking back down the inside at turn 8. They're side by side again as they go through the left of turn 9. Spicer watching along. Yellow's out, it's Warren. Spinning out at turn 7. Crichton takes the lead back at the hairpin of turn 10. Swoops in front of Ferrari Pro. But Ferrari Pro, he can fight back. He can fight back quite easily. Up the hill. Spicer following suit. DRS open. Crichton pits. Spicer stays out. Crucial pit stop then in the context of the race. Spicer electing to go a little bit longer on these softs. Crichton pitting for a set of mediums, which he will try and carry to the end of the race. Spicer around the outside as Warren gets a 5-second time penalty. Spicer gets the job done. He gets it sideways too. But he keeps it on the racetrack. A good move there. So Spicer retaking the lead. Duncan retires from the session. He's done that in pit lane, it seems. He's had enough for the day. This battle further back. Nickman, Eagle, Liddell, Apollo. Grid Jokes now on the back of this too. They'll all be squabbling for position, I imagine, in a few moments' time. Keep our eyes towards the front, shall we? Does Spicer blink? He does. He's coming in. Ferrari Pro and ACW now alone at the front. Spicer, it should be a set of mediums waiting for him. It is. On they go, away he leaves. Crichton up towards the center S. With that one lap undercut, he should pass Seb quite easily. And does. Spicer making his way through pit exit. Look at that gap. It's about 1.5 seconds. 1.4 the margin. Here's the train. The battle for what is currently P3. Nickman a bit too far behind right now. Needs a solid final few corners through this sector. He needs to not do that. Needs to not get it sideways like that and lose time. Making things a bit more comfortable for Eagle. ACW holding second for now. He's not going to try and battle Ferrari Pro. He's probably thinking, the more I battle the guy in front, the more time we lose to both Crichton and Spicer. So I better work with this guy, at least for this segment, as Crichton sets a new fastest lap. Nickman's definitely close enough now. DRS open on the Red Bull. Eagle half covers. Nickman looking around the outside. Good defense from Eagle. Holding on to the position well. Nickman hasn't got enough of a run to try and battle into turn 6. So all you need to do when you're at the front, just try and place the car exactly where you need it to be. Also, it becomes a bit more impossible when you've got a car behind you that has got incredible straight line speed. It's almost impossible to try and defend that. Especially around a racetrack that has very, very lengthy DRS zones. Now, Crichton is catching up to the train in front. If they don't pit and he arrives, then he'll have to negotiate all that traffic. One of them does. It's Grid Jokes as Nickman and Eagle change position. Nickman up to P3, Eagle down to P4. Round curve of the Sol. Nickman, can he hold on to third for the moment? Eagle closes in. Not by enough though. So Nickman will hold P3 for just that little bit longer. Crichton cutting down the gap. Now 4.6 seconds. And he's opened up the margin to Spicer. Exiting pit lane. It was about 1.4. Now it's at 2.2. Apollo Pepsi sitting at the back of this train, just watching the show in front, waiting for a window of opportunity to present itself. Try and make a move as Eagle gets overtaken by Liddell at turn 11 of all places. There must have been a mistake from Eagle. You don't get past through there normally. There had to have been a mistake, or maybe contact between Bags and Eagle. Not sure. Nickman, I think, peels in. He is peeling in. Apollo follows suit. Through the center S. Down through turns 1 and 2. Eagle too far behind now to try and attack into Desida do Lago. And there's Crichton. Arriving towards these two at a rate of knots. Nickman and Apollo pitting for medium compound tyres. These two are still out there. I'm curious to know whether they're going to box for mediums or box for the soft tyre. There are clouds around, but I don't think we're going to have any intermediate conditions tonight. We need to get a lot darker very, very quickly in order to convince me that we're going to have intermediate conditions at some stage. They're both staying out for another lap. They're still trucking out there. Liddell peels in. Eagle follows suit, and that creates a clear racetrack for Crichton. Begins lap 20 now. 17 laps to go. Just to note, Spicer is still losing a little bit of time as ACW and Ferrari Pro change position. ACW now takes the lead. Bit of a wiggle there, though, from the brand new race leader. I'll be curious, does ACW box at the end of this lap? Is that why he's taking the initiative? Does he want a box? 8.3 seconds the margin. Every corner he goes through, he's cutting down the lead. Round Jun South. 70% battery for Ferrari Pro. 82% for ACW. As ACW does indeed peel in, Ferrari Pro follows. Pulls it up nice and easy. And here comes Crichton and Spicer. Roscoe arm, 3-second time penalty. Medium tyres at the ready for both cars. So they've just gone longer on their hards. They want to give themselves nice, fresh, medium compound tyres for this final stint. And I'm probably going to assume they're not going to die off at all throughout this final stint. Especially if these two guys are capable of taking their mediums to the end of the race. If that is possible, then these guys really do need to get a move on. They're 10 seconds back. 16 laps to go. 10 seconds. The numbers definitely not in ACW and Ferrari Pro's favour. Going to get their tyres into an optimal temperature window. Oh, that is a slide and a half from Ferrari Pro. And look at that gap grow. 1 second the margin between ACW and Ferrari Pro. Ferrari driver will have to pull into the reserves a little bit. Try and close the gap down. Can't let ACW break away. Apollo Pepsi might be trying to line something up here. Maybe not. Nickman, he looks like he's going to try and do something. Down the inside, into turn 1. They're side by side. A bit of lag there from Grid Jokes. The Red Bull makes the move stick. And here comes the AlphaTauri. Looking left and right. DRS open on both cars. They're both pretty even on the straightaway. Apollo half committing. Grid Jokes, he was nice enough to oblige to give him a lane to work with. He's now drawing alongside. The AlphaTauri getting in front, getting the job done. He's into P7. That's some good battling here in the mid-pack. Plenty of movement up and down the board. And a bit of strategy going on. Crichton out in front. Nickman passing Ross. Roscoe, he's on 12 lap old mediums. You'll have to pit again at some stage. I imagine shortly for another set of medium compound tyres. Not pitting in just yet. Apollo Pepsi will get by his teammate. Grid Jokes under pressure from Bags Liddell, who goes down the inside. Running wide is Roscoe, completely off the track there. He rejoined down in 10th position. Eagle at the back of this queue. He'd be looking for a move down the inside of Grid Jokes. That Haas just not looking particularly quick tonight. Down to 9th. ACW sticking with Ferrari Pro. These two have not battled after the pit stops. Not battled too hard anyway. Just trying to get on with the job, trying to close in on the top two. The gap has shrunk. It's now down to 9.1, but the laps are disappearing too. Seb Spicer now beginning lap 24 of 36. 13 laps to go, and the gap is now 8.8 seconds. There's a statement from Ferrari Pro. Giving it everything to try and catch up to the top two. Polo making a move on Nickman. There's a potential here for a counter-attack from Nickman. DRS open. Apollo got no defense against this. Red Bull moves through into 5th position. Up the hill towards turn 6. Nickman half defending there. Just telling Apollo, hey, don't do anything stupid. Apollo obliges. Yellow's out. It's Roscoe. A spin there. Warren will move through. Ross drops down to P11. That's an important thing. He's still running. The gap has shrunk between the top two. 2 seconds the margin. Spicer on slightly better medium tyres right now. Ferrari Pro, he's cut the gap down to 7.8. Gained a second on that lap. He is flying. And ACW, he's following. He is not dropping away. Eagle making a move on Bags Liddell. Round the outside at turn 1. Oh, he's on the grass. He spins. Drops down to 9th. Doesn't drop any further. Not sure if there was contact. Hard to tell from the angle that we had. But it was because of the grass that he spun out. Shame as well. He was right in the mix here in this battle. 4 seconds back, it would be almost impossible to catch up. 7.1 the margin now between Ferrari Pro and Spicer. But of course, passing, or rather catching up is one thing. Passing is an entirely different ballgame. Admittedly though, Seb Spicer on his own might be a pretty easy customer to pass with just DRS alone. I'd be curious to know what Crichton might be thinking at this stage. Because he knows Ferrari Pro is coming, he knows ACW is coming. Do you just keep powering it out there, try and hope for the best, or do you try and play some games? Polo Pepsi, he'll go for a move here down the inside, heading into turn 4. Gets the job done, retakes 5th. Bit of a wiggle, but he keeps it under control. .3, 6.2 seconds. Need some more big laps from Ferrari Pro. The gap is starting to increase between the top two. It's now sitting at 2 seconds. Crichton's not backing off. Still pushing it out there. DRS open for ACW. Closing in on the straightaway, but not closing in by enough to try and set up a move. Though I'm sure he's thinking about setting something up as we get closer towards the checkered flag. Nickman down the inside of Apollo. Oh, might have been a bit of hip and shoulder there. Bags Liddell draws alongside, but he's on the wrong side of the track. He makes contact with the AlphaTauri entering turn 3. DRS open on both cars. Liddell's flying down the Retro-Aposta, looking down the inside. Wheel-to-wheel contact! Half spins the Red Bull. He loses time, and here comes Grid Jokes. He's got momentum, but he doesn't have an ideal line to try and make a move. So he stays in P8, and Liddell stays in P7. .6 seconds the margin now. The edge just slowly fading away on these tyres. Oh, as ACW's got a bit of a run going. He might make a move, he will. So ACW up to 3rd. Now he'll have to take over the role of charging towards the top 2. Ferrari Pro 4/10ths back. Just keeping within touching distance of ACW. Apollo a bit too far behind, one would think, to try and go for a move. He'll close in. Yeah, not by enough. 4.9 seconds now as we head through turn number 9. Up towards turn 10. On the brakes, down to 3rd gear, back on the power. Eventually reaching full throttle as we head down the hill through turn 11, then into Junsao. 4.8, 4.7. The gap shrinking corner by corner. Ferrari Pro losing touch of ACW, just a little bit, but not enough to lose DRS. We go through the center S, turns 1 and 2. The gap continuing to shrink. The laps ticking down. We're getting closer to the checkered. Got 8 laps to go. Not quite close enough to go for a move. Maybe a similar story here with Apollo. He's close. Not close enough, and Liddell's in this fight too, but he does have a time penalty next to his name, which will hold him back. Grid Jokes has left the session. He's P8 currently. Let's try and find a way back in. 4.2 seconds. Crichton, he's maintained a decent margin to Spicer. Still sitting at around 2.2. DRS open for Ferrari Pro. ACW still got decent amount of battery to try and use. Just waiting for the right moment to try and use it. Nickman under pressure. Apollo around the outside. Oh, it's tight. He gets the job done. 5th is his. Nickman will fight back. DRS open. Up through the gears. Down the inside. Gets the job done. And that's Eagle around that turn 3. He rejoins. Zach Warren directly behind. It might be too little too late, I think, for ACW and Ferrari Pro. They're still cutting down that gap, but they're running out of laps. P2 for sure is still on the cards, but the race win, I think it's over for ACW and Ferrari Pro. See the 2 dots further back, ACW and Ferrari Pro. 3.7 seconds behind. Down through the center S. There you go. Apollo under pressure from Liddell, who looks to the inside. Oh, dearie me. Apollo tries to cover 3 wide, heading into the center S. Liddell gets in front. Makes a double overtake work at turn 1, side by side through turn 3 we go. Nickman with the inside line. Apollo making contact. As we head on to the retro apostle, they're making more contact. Nickman having a look down the inside of his teammate. But Liddell hangs on. Up the hill towards turn 6. Might have a look here. No, he won't. He'll stay behind Nickman. Yeah, 3.6 seconds. Yep, it is too late for ACW and Ferrari Pro. They're definitely not in a They're definitely not in a position to try and win this. They're going to have to scrap it out for 3rd place. Through goes Ferrari Pro with relative ease. The power of DRS. Nickman closing the gap up to his teammate. Looks to the inside but doesn't fully commit to the move. Bags Adele, another time penalty. Now with 6 seconds next to his name. Around the Cedar de Lago. Up towards Ferradura. Man, he won't be close enough just yet. But I imagine a bit of fireworks heading onto the DRS straight at the end of this lap. As the Eagles retired. As he oh, that's a safety car! That is a safety car! He has wrecked out of turn 3. And with 5 laps to go, we have a safety car. Well, into the pits comes everybody. Can't not pit. You have to box. Soft tyres for everybody. Late race drama here at Interlagos. Hopefully Grid Jokes AI picks in. It does not. Of course it doesn't. Well, there we go. Second retirement of the race. Resulting in the first safety car with only 5 laps to go. Crichton, it seemed like he had this race won. Now we'll have a little bit of work to do. Try and hold off Spicer and Ferrari Pro and ACW. Those rows further back, I need to turn on their batteries, try and catch up as quick as they can. The safety car won't stay out for long. I think it will stay out for at least 1 more lap, but it's not a particularly long lap here at Interlagos. Let's see, what will the safety car do? Yeah, we still got 1 more lap behind the safety car, alright. Well, tyres, it matters little. We'll have a look at the position change just briefly. Crichton, obviously from starting at the back, made up the most positions out of anyone, up 11. Grid Jokes AI, because he stayed out, is up 2 positions. Apollo Pepsi up 2. Those who have lost the most, Eagle and Duncan, both retiring out of the race. So, with Grid Jokes properly behind the wheel, he does the intelligent thing and pits for soft tyres. Will he stay out in front of Warren? Don't think so. So Grid Jokes will start this final segment in 9th. Alright. This is how we end the season. With a 2-lap shootout. No DRS. Just sheer pace. Everyone's on the same tyres. Everyone will have 100% battery. You want to try and gain places, and you have to give it absolutely everything. It's the only thing you can do. Crichton's in the hot seat. But Spicer, Ferrari Pro, they have a real shot to try and win this race. They'll try and take it. Safety car in this lap. Ten remaining drivers lined up, ready to run. When will the season 10 champ bolt off down the main straight? He's still waiting. Safety car's in the pits now. He is still waiting. And now he goes. It's a solid restart. He turns on the battery. This is it. 2 laps to go here at São Paulo. Crichton leads. A big look from Ferrari Pro down the inside, but he doesn't commit to the move. Through the center S and around Curva de Sol. Using all of the battery through turn 3. Ferrari Pro closing in. Not by enough though. Can't fight for second. Crichton's got 6/10 in hand to Spicer. Built up a small margin. He needs that margin to stop Seb from doing anything silly. Around the hairpin. Down through turn 9. Up towards turn 10. No one going for any ballsy moves just yet. Apollo's close. Not close enough, it would seem. He's got momentum. Trying to find a way by Nickman. Out of Junsao. 6/10 the margin between the top 2. Crichton controlling the situation well. Spicer closing the gap. We head up towards the center S for the final time. Nickman gets by Bags Liddell. Having a look down the inside is Apollo, but he doesn't fully commit. Stays behind. So Nickman into the top 5. Oh, and Bags is slow out of turn 2. Using plenty of battery down the Retro-Aposta. No big send from Apollo. Stays behind. To the front. 2/10 is the gap. Round turn 6. Round turn 7. Spicer is giving himself a shot. Crichton needs to build margin here through the middle sector. So we head around turn 10. Down to 3rd gear. Back on the power. Down the hill. Through 11 for the final time. 3.5 is the margin. Through Junsao. They need to absolutely nail this. Spicer gets a decent run, but so did Crichton. 4.5 the gap. I think the gap is too big for Spicer to try and reel in. Crichton will win his 9th race of the season by 1/10 of a second to Seb Spicer in P2, and Ferrari Pro will complete the podium places in 3rd. And that's fair. Starting from the back, albeit deliberately, and end up winning the race. Been quite the season for this guy. Perfect way to end it. Victory here in Brazil for GeForce Crichton. P2 to Seb Spicer means he finishes P2 in the drivers' standings, and Ferrari Pro finishing on the podium. Back-to-back podiums from Miami and now here at São Paulo. The unofficial results then of the Brazilian Grand Prix. GeForce Crichton is your race winner, with Seb Spicer finishing P2, just 1/10 off victory. Ferrari Pro completing the podium places in 3rd. ACW 4th, followed by Nickman in 5th. Apollo Pepsi P6. Then Grid Jokes Warren Liddell finishes 9th. Roscoe Arm rounds out the top 10. Only 2 retirements in this race, Eagle and Leo. Eagle creating that safety car right at the end of the race, which gave us this incredibly tight finish. Certainly an interesting way to end off the season. Anything but perfect, but certainly interesting. And that's it for F123 here on Race Spec Esports. And a bit like this race, we've been on an interesting journey through this game. Positives, plenty of negatives, that is for sure, surrounding this game. And unfortunately, there isn't many positives heading into F124. A lot of the people have not responded positively to the game, and you really can't blame them. So the future is going to be interesting for Race Spec Esports, that is for sure. Well, for league racing on F1 in general, to be absolutely fair. But for us here at Race Spec, it's now time to wrap everything up for this season. I hope you have enjoyed our coverage of the Season 10 Pacific Tier 1 Drivers' Championship. A season on paper dominated by one man and one team. But throughout we've had terrific races, hard-fought battles, incredible qualifying sessions, gamesmanship, sportsmanship and drama galore, as well as pretty full grids throughout the entire season bar this round, which I was extremely happy about. That was something that we were lacking in seasons past, where attendance numbers were dwindling quite badly. But this season saw a very consistent high level of high quality drivers participating in Tier 1, which I was extremely happy about. It's just a shame that we ended the season with only 12. And when you take that out, this has actually been one of the best championships I've watched in recent times. It was quite fun to watch this, especially after that Race Spec Classic over at Miami. But a final thank you to all the drivers, full-time or otherwise, who competed this season. Thank you to the admin and stewarding teams for looking over the series. And a final thank you to all those who have watched along here on Twitch. A final congratulations to GeForce Crichton, our Season 10 Drivers Champion. And of course to the Mercedes team, our Season 10 Teams Champion. But for the final time on F123, I've been Lane Everingham. Thank you everyone so much for watching. And until next time, maybe on F124, it's goodbye.